Hello, everybody. Welcome to the victorious Seahawks post-game show. I am Brian Nemhauser. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HawkBlogger. I'm down here on the field of Gillette Stadium after the Seahawks escaped with another close victory in this stadium. Last time I was here with 2016 when just over there, Cam Chancellor broke up a pass to Rob Gronkowski, and the Seahawks beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in a close game. It was kind of a little bit of a mini revenge game with the Seahawks having lost the Super Bowl to them a few years earlier, and that was also the game that Earl, I think, punctured Gronkowski's lung. And things have changed since then for both these franchises. New coaches, new players, new quarterbacks, new identities. And I think the story of the game today was these two young head coaches really getting their teams off to pretty impressive starts. I think Gerard Mayo, kudos to him, because this Patriots team was kind of a joke heading into this season. There's almost nobody that picked this team to be competitive in any way, shape, or form, maybe defensively. But even there, a lot of folks were like, that was Belichick, and is Mayo going to be able to keep it going? And to his credit, this is a tough Patriots team. This is not going to be a team that's a pushover. And you got to give credit to Jacoby Brissett today. We can hate it and say, oh man, Jacoby Brissett was, he's nobody, he's not a great quarterback, but the guy's been around the league for a long time. As I showed you on some of the preview shows I did, he doesn't turn the ball over. He has a very low interception rate over his career. The thing that keeps him from being a great quarterback is the fact that he just doesn't throw touchdowns. He just does not throw touchdowns. But he made a number of just remarkable plays that I think a lot of other quarterbacks would not have made. And the Seahawks defense got their hands on him a bunch, could not bring him down. And I asked Leonard Williams about that in postgame, and he said, yeah, they had heard that he is somebody that can be tough to bring down, but until you're in the game, until you're actually hitting him, then it's totally different. And they said that they talked to each other, defensive line, at halftime and said, we got to keep running our feet when we tackle him like he's a running back. Williams said they were joking about the fact that it's like trying to bring down Big Ben. They just said he was a very tough quarterback to bring down. And thankfully for Seahawks and Seahawks fans, they were able to bring him down a few times in the second half. One of the key plays toward the end of the game that, led to what ended up being a blocked field goal by Julian Love. So, a lot of strong moments there for the pass rush. It was a little frustrating to see how many times they lost Brissett, and Brissett was able to, get out of jail and make something out of nothing. There was one play down on this end of the field where they had Brissett dead to rights. He was retreating back toward midfield and uncorked a pass that was pretty much a prayer, made it to Hunter Henry, and instead of being a sack for a big loss, Henry cut back inside, gained a first down, and it was just like, that was I wouldn't say it's a Mahomes play, but it was the kind of play you expect from one of those quarterbacks where you think you've got them and you don't. So no one will write about Jacoby Brissett's game today. I'm telling you, I was very impressed with how he played. I thought he gave them a very solid performance at the quarterback position with not a lot of weapons. And I asked Julian Love about what was the problem in defending tight ends, and especially in the first half. And he said, they knew that he was going to go to some quick game. They were just a little loose. He didn't really get into specifics, but does believe that they have some work to clean up there, because Hunter Henry was just dicing them up in the middle of the field, and it was different defenders. It was Julian Love one time. It was Tyrell Dodson another time. It was, I think Jerome Baker another time. There's a number of players involved. The Seahawks defense, I didn't think played to their standard. I asked Julian Love about that, and he agreed. He said, this was not a pretty game for them, not a game that they want to repeat. Missed a lot of tackles. He also talked about the fact that he felt like they started sluggish. And I noticed that. I actually wrote a note about that when I was watching the game early. The defense was a lot less active early on. There was a lot less communication. And given the fact that they're on the road and they should be able to talk without having to worry about sound, I expected to see a lot of, hand signals, gesticulation, and talking and moving. Some of it, I think, is because the Patriots' offense is pretty static in nature, and so there wasn't as much shifts and motions that they had to respond to and communicate. But the Seahawks defense came out sluggish, and Julian Love owned up to that. He said that they came out sluggish, 10 a.m. game. They did what they're supposed to do in terms of getting ready, but he just felt like they didn't have the juice and the energy early on, and I think it showed. I thought the second half was generally better, although there were still some missed tackles. The Boye Mafe missed tackle on, again, would have been a big tackle for loss. I think it was on Antonio Gibson, the running back, and he ends up running for 45 yards instead of a loss. I mean, those plays are absolutely killer. And the Seahawks had a number of those situations today. Normally, when you have that kind of game where those plays are getting made and they're basically turning losses into massive gains, you don't walk away from a road trip with a victory in those situations. But today the Seahawks do. And I think the bulk of the credit for this victory has to go to Geno Smith. And it's not just because I bought his jersey last week. I think Geno Smith had a franchise quarterback kind of day. If not for the 6 drops, I think he would have pushed, I don't even know, honestly, I haven't looked at his numbers. I think he would have pushed 400 yards. So tell me in chat what he ended up with, because I'm curious. But I thought Geno Smith had an elite game today, and he never let the drops get in his head. He just kept going back. Okay, Zach tells me 320 yards. So yeah, I think Geno easily pushes 400 if not for the 6 drops. I mean, the drop for JSN, that was a 24-yard play. DK Metcalf had a couple of drops. One at the first play of the second half. Ryan Grubb had schemed up a beautiful play that had Geno wide open in the middle. Now, the ball was tipped, but it ended up still hitting DK in the hands. That was at least a 20-yard gain. If it had hit him in stride, he may have kept running because there was a lot there. So I just thought Geno Smith was masterful pre-snap today. If you haven't read my article on hawkblogger.com that I wrote this morning, I'd ask you to do so. I put some time into that yesterday and worked on it with a couple of folks that I respect, and Ted Nguyen from The Athletic and Cody Alexander from matchquarters.com. But the whole premise of that article was that defenses, Mike McDonald's being the predominant one, are really reducing the advantage that pre-snap read quarterbacks have, because they are disguising so much pre-snap and they're disguising coverages post-snap. And they're not only disguising coverages, but they're disguising rushes as well. So what we saw today from Geno was really taking his time. He was doing a lot of hurry up. He was forcing the Patriots to keep the personnel that he wanted on the field. He then was getting them to the line quickly to actually assess where he thought there were opportunities. And did he put the ball in harm's way today? I can't think of a pass where you're just like, man, that's the downside of Geno Smith. He puts the ball in the wrong place. He tries to force a pass. I didn't see any of that today. I saw him putting the ball in exactly the right spot time after time after time. And the fact that there's more out there than they got today, folks, this Patriots defense is legitimately good. They shut down Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase last week to 10 points at home. So being able to put up the numbers that Geno Smith and this receiver room did on this Patriots defense, I think that's going to hold up as a pretty good performance. They have good cornerbacks. Christian Gonzalez, highly thought of, did a nice job on Chase last week. Both their other cornerbacks, the Joneses, both well thought of. JSN absolutely torched their nickel corner today. Had easily his best game, and knowing what Seahawks fans, as well as JSN, was frustrated with last year about Shane Waldron, his usage of JSN, all the bubble screens, there's no quick passes to him over the middle of the field. He just was not utilized the way I think either he or Seahawks fans wanted to see. Today was a welcome sight because JSN was everywhere on the field today. Was catching the ball deep, was catching the ball on the sideline, it was catching the ball over the middle, was basically Geno Smith's safety blanket. And I think that that's a really big deal because Tyler Lockett's not going to be here forever. You know, Tyler Lockett, to his credit, once again, comes into the clutch. I mean, his pass interference penalties that he drew were massive in this game. They wouldn't have won probably without those two plays. He almost made that catch on the overtime pass interference. But as awesome as Tyler Lockett is, as much as I just love watching him play, it's so important for the future of this team that JSN develops that chemistry with Geno Smith to where Geno feels as comfortable going to JSN in a moment of panic as he does with, or a big moment, as he does with Tyler Lockett. And I thought today was a big step in that direction. First 100-yard game for Jackson Smith and Jigba. And like I said, there's at least 20, 24 yards that he left on the field. And he told me, I asked him about it after the game, and he's like, he's going to be thinking about that one, and just shows him that he's still got work to do. He's going to get back to the jugs machine and make sure it doesn't happen again. So right attitude from Jackson Smith and Jigba. As much as DK Metcalf, I think, man, had really some frustrating drops in this one. I do give him credit for being part of the game-tying drive, for making a number of big catches down the stretch that helped this team win. So there are players that would kind of go in the bag after having some really frustrating bad plays. He didn't do it. He didn't drop his head, didn't sulk, just went off to the next play and made it. And, I mean, how fun was it to see him run behind the defense for that big play early in the game? To really get things going for the offense, because they struggled initially, especially running the ball was absolutely atrocious all day. I thought it was a tough day for Zach Charbonnet. I don't think this was, again, a chance for him to start, and he did not look ready to be a featured back. I think he played every snap at running back as far as I could see, and I don't think he played most of them very well. I will, credit him for that last run he had that set up the game-winning field goal. That was a great run. He had some good catches. In general, this was not a great game for Zach Charbonnet. Some of that has to be attributed to the offensive line that did such a good job run blocking last week, and I thought just basically had nothing working today. I don't know if that is a product of what the Patriots were doing defensively or the personnel, or if it was something going on with just the way they were playing on the offensive line. But it was atrocious in terms of the run game overall. There wasn't a single part of it that was good. I would even criticize the play calls. There was a number of plays where Ryan Grubb called a running play, one of the I think it was a fourth down play that they went for. I thought was a really questionable call. I thought the 3rd down and 1 down here at the end of regulation, when they were trying to, win the game, didn't love that call. There's another play that I'm forgetting about. I actually have it in my notes, but I thought Ryan Grubb did not have a great day calling run plays in general. I thought they weren't very creative. They were coming at relatively predictable moments, and they weren't working, and I thought he was going back to it at times where it was pretty clear they shouldn't be doing that. On the flip side, I thought Ryan Grubb had a pretty amazing day in the pass game and the game plan he had. This is what a lot of people know Ryan Grubb for, is being a explosive, productive passing offensive coordinator, and you saw that today. I mean, everybody was getting involved, and again, there were more yards to be had than what we saw in this game. So, end of the day, not the prettiest game. I think Geno Smith can look back at this game and feel like he really did his job. I think we're going to find out that Charles Cross had another really good game. Not as good in the run blocking, but I think we're going to see that his pass blocking was very good today. I thought Stone Forsythe acquitted himself pretty darn well. He's been a real problem at right tackle. I don't think that a lot of the pressure was coming from right tackle. Laken Tomlinson started off, again, giving up a sack, but I think that he steadied in pass protection the rest of the way. I have to go back and look, so I can't say for sure, but I don't think it was an absolute disaster in pass protection. I thought Anthony Bradford made a number of bonehead mistakes in terms of penalties. Christian Haynes got his first reps as a rookie, was in for a 70-yard touchdown drive, looked, I think, pretty good on that drive. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts pushing for more snaps. I thought he played well. We'll see what the coaches think when they go back and review film, but the offense certainly didn't have trouble operating with Christian Haynes on the field. If you're hearing that they're idling a truck, I think they're doing it specifically because they don't want my Seahawks postgame show to be heard, probably. But otherwise, I think huge credit to Tyrell Dodson for the run stuff that he had on 3rd and 1. I mean, they were running at will against the Seahawks, which is not a fun thing to say, and I know is very much on Mike McDonald's mind. I think they gave up 170 yards rushing today. That's not a winning formula. It was today, but it's not one you want to try to repeat. And for Tyrell Dodson to absolutely smother that runner in the hole, there's not a lot of guys that make that tackle and make it without giving up any space. I mean, he stuffed him. He did not fall forward. And that's one of the things that makes me very excited about Tyrell Dodson. I think really, really good player. I don't think he had as great of a game today. I thought he had a couple moments in coverage that they weren't bad, but he was beat. So I know he'll want those back. Jerome Baker had to leave the game with a hamstring injury. Coach said afterwards, thinks he should be all right. He also said he thinks Boye Mafe should be okay. Says he has a knee contusion. We'll see what that looks like, but nothing more serious than that. So that's good news. I thought Derek Hall, playing some more snaps, had the concussion scare, was cleared to come back. That was a big part of the second half. He had some pressures there. I felt toward the end of the game. I thought he was part of why the inside guys, Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy, were able to get some pressure. Kudos to Byron Murphy on getting his first half sack. Leonard Williams got the other half. I thought Leonard Williams had another good day. And Boye Mafe, I mean, man, he had some opportunities. I think, I'm pretty sure he got the sack early in the game. He could have had more. And, now you start looking for Uchenna Nwosu. I think you start watching to see if he's back next week. Don't know that he will be, but I think that's the first week to start checking in and seeing if he's available. Your Seahawks are now 2-0. First place in the NFC West after the 49ers lost one in Minnesota. And keep that in mind. Everyone's like, man, we barely beat the Patriots. You know what? Ask me how the Ravens are feeling after dropping one to Las Vegas. Ask me how the 49ers are feeling after dropping one to Sam Darnold and the Vikings. Ask me how the Rams are feeling right now. There's a lot of teams that would kill to be 2-0 with a road victory, heading back home, and having work to do, but also having some guys, hopefully, that are going to start getting healthy. We'll see. Maybe George Fant's available. Don't know if he will be. We're closer and closer to the point where PUP guys will potentially be available. That means you might get a Jarek Reed. You might get, more importantly, an Abe Lucas. Maybe a Cam Young if you think that he's necessary from a run-stuffing perspective. And so that's 2 more weeks at this point until those guys can start practicing, and that's something to keep an eye on. I really feel like as I just watch this team, observe this team from preseason all the way through these first 2 games, I'm really struck by what feels like a new energy about it. Even though there's guys that are, some of them are older guys, it really feels like a fresh start. It feels like they're building something. It feels like they're trying to find something. And that was part of why I was a little disappointed at the beginning when the defense just didn't come out with their hair on fire. I think it's going to be really important to see if the leaders on that side of the ball can correct that. And it starts next week with Miami coming to town. They will have a backup quarterback in there. They'll have potentially some backup offensive linemen. Everyone's going to be counting them out, but the Dolphins know that their season's on the line potentially, and they're going to want to prove a lot. That's a team that's been pretty explosive on the ground. Seahawks cannot afford to overlook that Dolphins team. It's a huge opportunity for them to start the season 3-0 and then head into Detroit on a Monday night game for a chance to really make a statement that they are a team to reckon with in the NFC. So, a lot of good things, I think, in today's game. Tyrese Knight, who got his first reps, I think he got a couple times in coverage. Mike McDonald made reference to having a couple plays in his mind that he would like him to play differently. Tyrese Knight also made some nice stops in the run and some good tackles. So he didn't play horribly, but he made some rookie mistakes. So, kudos, I got to say this, even though Evan is not on the show, kudos to Jason Myers. That last field goal, the fans here started cheering. I thought he missed it. They put their hands up. I just had my eyes fixed on the refs. They made it. He made it. Seahawks win. He was perfect today. Not a guarantee to be perfect in this situation, but he did it. So, absolutely kudos to Jason Myers for his performance. And then a guy that I'd want to call out that not everybody will think to talk about, D. Williams. Undrafted rookie, had such a tough first game, fumbles the ball, has a questionable decision about whether to field another punt later. First road game. Is he going to overtry? Is he going to feel the pressure of trying to make up for his bad first game? Not only did he have a nice 20-plus yard punt return, his first, real return of his career, but a lot of people are going to forget about it. I'm not. On the overtime punt, where the Seahawks defense stopped the Patriots, Nehemiah Pritchett bumped into D. Williams as he caught the ball. And there's a lot of players that would have dropped that, fumbled that. That could have lost the game. That would have potentially lost the game. If the Patriots recover that, they just set up for a field goal, game over. So D. Williams caught that pass and I think deserves a ton of credit for a play that most people will not think twice about. I will. And I'm going to make sure I find him when we get back to Seattle and congratulate him on. I thought a pretty important and pivotal play. Otherwise, I mean, I'll say this. I appreciate the Patriots being a wonderful host. My first road trip as a credentialed member of the media, and I thought it was a great experience. The press box was amazing. Being down here on the field is a great experience. The people here have been fantastic. And I do think the Patriots should feel decent about where they're headed. They've got their quarterback, learning right now, and who knows how good Drake May will be. But given this defense, I think there's some reasons for the Patriots. I think the coaching staff, the way they have them playing, I think there's reasons to be optimistic for Patriots fans. So I think I've pretty much covered everything. If you haven't given the show a like and click subscribe, please do. I'd appreciate it. I hear that the Rams are getting boat raced. This division, guys, it is wide open. It is wide open. And the 49ers dropping that ball game to the Vikings is a huge eye-opener. I think I heard Brock Purdy was sacked 6 times. Rams are massively injured. I'll take a look and watch those games myself and get a little bit more my own perspective. But, 49ers come into Seattle in 4 weeks for a Thursday night game. And that could be a very interesting game. But it all starts next week. Seahawks have got to continue their play against the Dolphins, and I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. Just as a programming note, I will be headed back to Seattle tomorrow morning. So I'll be writing my morning after column. Very early flight. It'll be 4 a.m. your time when I'm on the plane. I will get my article up, and then my episode with Robert Mays Mondays, Pagliacci sponsored, presented by, will be scheduled tentatively for 1 o'clock Pacific time. But keep an eye on YouTube for if anything changes, if there's any delays or anything else, I will move that around. Mike McDonald will have his 2 o'clock press conference tomorrow, so we'll do that. But keep an eye on the schedule for more content coming out. And if you haven't gone over to hawkblogger.com, check the article that I posted this morning. I think you'll really like it. I think there's a real change going on with how the quarterback position's played, and I think it's being driven by the way defenses are evolving, particularly what Mike McDonald is doing. So, all right, folks, with that, I'm going to go watch some more football myself. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. I'm Brian Nemhauser. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at hawkblogger. This has been your victorious Seahawks post-game show.